The Mets have signed Jose. ... He is not a Latin pop star. He is unfortunately on a minor league deal, and he is not Jose Iglesias. The Mets have signed Jose Urena to a minor league deal. You know, if he makes the major league roster, it'll be $2 million, really $4 million in luxury tax. Steve Cohen financial purposes, double the money. And to talk about that and everything in Mets land, our weekly guest here on Mets Daily. Smash that thumbs up right now on YouTube. You know, you give a thumbs up too, so we actually have 2 thumbs up, Ebert and Roper. Bing, bang, boom. And comment below as well. And subscribe to Mets Daily and share the channel with your family, friends, your pet dogs, and your pet goldfish. It is, we're going to pronounce it correctly today. I don't know if this is Russian, German, Polish. It is Polish. I knew it was somewhere over there, overseas. Ashley WENSKOSKI. Bang. First time.
Awesome. That was a great pronunciation.
Double bang. Where's Mike Breen when you need him? She does a great job co-hosting with Samantha. I can't even say Samantha, the easiest name of all time. Croston. They co-host the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. Subscribe to their show on YouTube as well. And she's also a sports anchor and reporter in upstate New York at CNY Central. So check out Ashley. She does a great job up there covering Syracuse sports, who has actually been, I feel like, good since you've been there, at least in football. It's been a fun time. You're a busy lady. Welcome to Mets Daily, and you're a diehard Mets fan like me that lives, breathes Mets baseball, talking about the Syracuse Mets, talking about the New York Mets. We wake up and just talk Mets.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on. It's been a long time in the making. Really happy to finally hop on and do this with you. Yes, I grew up a lifelong Mets fan from Jersey originally. Then I kind of grew up in Phillies country, which was awful. Went to Syracuse, got this job out of school covering Syracuse sports, and very conveniently, the Syracuse Mets. And I get to see a lot of prospects come through here in central New York in the summer. So it's been awesome.
Well, yes, I'm glad we finally made it happen. You know, you are busy with your jobs. I'm like Jamaican now with these gigs that I have. I can't really keep up. So it's been a busy schedule, but we made it work. I'm excited to have you on, and let's get right to it. You know, I think you woke up and I was the Jeff Passan for you this morning when I texted you. We'll react to the news. Let's do earlier than 4 o'clock. Jose Urena. It is another tough name to pronounce. Is a member of the New York Mets. Well, he may be a member of the Syracuse Mets, so you may have to really know his name because you may have to talk about him very soon. It is a $2 million deal if he makes the major, so double if not. 10 major league seasons. What's interesting about him is he's had some blow-ups with Ronald Acuna, so maybe the Mets want to sit him in starts where they face the Atlanta Braves because there may be, they may have to go to Griffin Canning in the bullpen early if he throws one up and in on Ronald Acuna. But this is a guy, Ashley, who started in his career with 6 years at the Marlins. We remember him well as Mets fans because there was a year he was great with the Marlins in 2017, a 14-7, 3.82 ERA, made 28 starts, the most of his career. He's coming off a year he had a 3.80 ERA. He had over 5 as a starter in 9 starts, but that was inflated by 2 bad ones. Better as a reliever, but to get this guy in a minor league deal coming off one of the better years of his career, through 109 innings, not really a strikeout pitcher, but a swingman. And you love a swingman in the NBA, but for the Mets, they needed a swingman in that bullpen and in that rotation because now, Ashley, Manaea comes back, Montas comes back. Okay, we'll send you back to AAA. You can watch him up there, or you can be a long man in the bullpen. And, if something happened to Jose Buda or Daniel Nunez, you now have an insurance piece there. So to me, Ashley, no-brainer adding Urena.
Yeah, I knew the name sounded familiar when I woke up this morning and you acted as my Jeff Passan and sent me that move had happened. I knew it sounded familiar from seeing him with the Marlins for so many years. Obviously, he had that one great season that you mentioned. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's a no-brainer, right? You needed an innings eater with the situation that's going on with this rotation, with Manaea going down, Montas going down, regardless of whether they view him as a starter, depending on what happens, or kind of more of a long-term relief guy. You need someone to eat innings. It's kind of like what they tried to do with Brazoban at the trade deadline last year, and we know what happened there. But yeah, he relies heavily on his off-speed stuff. I mean, I think his sinker, his slider, really impressive. He throws hard. You kind of mentioned it before that that ERA, that 3.8 ERA from last year, even a little bit inflated with some clunkers towards the end of the season. So I think it was a good move. I also think it signals that Jose Quintana might not be joining this team.
Hip, hip, Jose. It was nice knowing you, our good friend Jose Quintana. Because now Urena, one injury, and he's essentially part of what eventually will be a 6-man. The Mets have 3 scheduled off days. which are coming soon to a theater near you, 1 month away. If you're watching this as it drops at 4 p.m., 4:10 p.m. in 1 month, March 27th, the Mets are going to H-Town, where James Harden's jersey is retired in the local strip clubs. They are going to Houston, where everything's bigger and better, and hopefully the Mets are winning bigger in Houston, and we are right there 1 month away. So, March is right around the corner. It's not a leap year. We are 2 days away from March, and we'll see. Jose Urena, he basically broke the news himself by showing up. Tim Healy said he broke the news himself because he showed up in the clubhouse. How about that? There is no Jeff Passan. There is no Jake Brown Radio. There is Jose Urena, the local reporter in Port St. Lucie.
Yeah, I saw that. Reporting on his own signing. They sign him and he's in the clubhouse in the morning. Good stuff.
We need more of that. Guys just show up and it's like, where did this guy come from? Like, imagine that Jose Quintana shows up and they're like, Jose, are you here? You never know who's going to show up in Port St. Lucie. How about the list today of the people that showed up? This tweet was just remarkable, Ashley. It was seen at Clover Park today. Jerry Seinfeld, Doc Gooden, Carlos Beltran, John Franco, ... and Victor Zambrano. That's like saying that's like Drake, Lil Wayne, Kendrick Lamar, and then William Hung showing up. It's like one does not fit the other. I love the celebrities. I love the Mets legends. But what is Victor Zambrano, who we're still mad about trading Scott Kazmir for, showing up in that crew? Can he have not been included in that tweet, Anthony DiComo?
Truly, one of these things is not like the other. Insane. But you love the energy that's going on around Mets camp right now. I mean, you love to see the celebrity atmosphere. I know they've been talking about it's been like the highest attended, highest watched spring training games in a while. Is that the Soto effect? I don't know, but I love to see it either way.
And we love to see Clay Holmes attending these games as a starting pitcher and pitching effectively. I don't read too much into spring stats, which we'll talk about in our next topic. But before we get to our next topic, which I know you're passionate about because you've seen a lot of him in Syracuse, I've seen more than I've needed to see of him in tweets and in Queens. First off, it's Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes, 6 innings, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, no runs. I get it, it's early. But the nerd stats, the analytics say he's throwing ace-like stuff. The kick change has fooled a couple of hitters, his new pitch in the arsenal. And for all the Yankee fans that were in my live streams all offseason talking about have fun with Clay Holmes, well, listen, he's not a closer. He's not going to stay in a role, and the manager's not going to remove him like Aaron Boone didn't do when he blew a billion saves. He's a starting pitcher. It's a lesser leverage role. And we talked about opening day, Ash, and that being a month away. Well, Clay Holmes has a chance to be the opening day starter, which are words I never expected to utter going into this year. But, man, if this works, we're fired up because you got him at a cheaper price than you got Frankie Montas. And Clay Holmes could end up being an ace-like starter. The question, obviously, would be innings. How much could he go? Is he going to last the whole year? But stuff-wise, what we're seeing – knock on wood, he stays healthy, are very encouraging from Clay Holmes and makes this Mets rotation, which has some early injuries, a bit easier to stomach if he can really be that guy with Kodai Senga.
Yeah, I mean, 6 scoreless today, like you said, don't read too much into the spring stats, but it's definitely a good sign. I know I was encouraged by seeing that down at spring training today. I think, like you said, Stearns is going to cash in on some of those, pitching pieces he accumulated this offseason. Maybe Holmes is when he cashes on, maybe Montas. I don't know. We'll see when Montas comes back. I'm not ready to write him off just yet, but inevitably you're going to have some of those that are successes, some of those that you look back on and you're like, that wasn't the best Stearns move ever. But I think Holmes is a big piece to seeing if this rotation can at least be formidable, right? They said they wanted to do the 6-man thing, not only because of Senga and that influence with Japan, but also because Holmes is transitioning from being a relief pitcher to a starter. We'll see if they can make that move over to a 6-man rotation kind of later in April, May, maybe when Manaea returns. But I think he's a big piece to see if this rotation's actually going to be formidable 1 through 5 every 5 days. I mean, I've been saying this. I think the Mets are going to know what they have in that rotation pretty early on in April. A few turns through, you're going to know what we're working with here.
Yeah, and listen, like David Peterson, we're expecting him to replicate his last year. It's going to be hard to replicate a year where he had a sub-3 ERA. Like
a career year, in essence, yeah.
A career year coming off a hip surgery. So that's going to be intriguing to watch as well. But what else is going to be intriguing is, and let us know in the comments, by the way, let us know about this rotation. Do you feel better now that they get a depth piece? Does Urania not excite you that much? What do you think about Clay Holmes? Let us know in the comments what you feel about the rotation. And let us know in the comments a controversial topic, because I see him all over Twitter, is Brett Beatty. And Brett Beatty is a guy who is the ultimate. He'll never be a battery used in your remote because he's a 4A player and they don't have quadruple A batteries. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not Ben Franklin. I didn't invent the light bulb. I just know there's no 4A batteries, and that's what he is. He is a guy that tears it up when he's right around the corner from you in Syracuse. He's a guy who comes to the majors and has just faltered. And to me, you can tell me he's playing second base. You could tell me he's playing backup water boy. You can tell me he's the bat boy for the day. Whatever position you're putting at him, he has not been good enough defensively for me to be like, yeah, make him the backup second baseman. Now, I'd rather Brett Baty on the roster than Donovan Walton, which Anthony DiComo uttered yesterday as the Mets projected lineup, which I'd rather have Donovan Mitchell than Donovan Walton in the Mets backup infield. But I'd rather Baty over Walton. But like, let's be serious. Brett Baty does this. He teases you. He is a ultimate tease to this fan base, and he reels people in. He just reels them in like a big old fish in a guy's Bumble profile picture with the holding up the fish, and that's Brett Baty. Brett Baty holding up a bass fish or Miami Marlin.
No more fish photos.
No more fish photos. I went fishing once when I was like 7, never did again. It's like I rode a bike last when I was like 12. I fell off, never rode one again. So there's certain things you do once in life and check it off the list. That was one of them. But, he's not going to fool me. I'm sorry. Like, if there's an injury, fine. But where is he playing, Ashley, right now in this offense? Because Luis Angel Acuna, to me, is the ultimate backup third baseman, shortstop, second baseman.
Yeah, I think Acuna has way more upside than Baty. I think we know what we're getting with Brett Baty at this point. I know some people are like, maybe this is his last shot. Maybe, we give him one more spring training, April, if he breaks camp with the team, to kind of make his mark. And I'm like, listen, I've seen this movie before. I've gone through the Brett Baty experience. I don't like it. He's a nice guy, know him pretty well. I lived like 5 minutes from NBT Bank Stadium, where he spent the whole summer down here in Syracuse last year. Talked to him almost every night of the week because there's nothing else to do in Syracuse in July. So
it's like a drive-in, like a movie drive-in. Do they got drive-in? What do they got up there? I don't know.
Not a lot. Not even any like water. Like I miss the ocean. Anyway, that's a different topic. Great guy, like the best guy, and you root for him, like you really do. I mean, I feel like he's so ingrained with Vientos and Alvarez and that kind of class that he came up with, sort of, but he doesn't have a fit to me in this infield. I mean, you want to see what Acuna's got. Mauricio, however you say his name, is going to come back here eventually if he ever comes back from that injury. I think Baty is the quintessential could benefit from a change of scenery. And unless he is off the charts in April and May, I am ready to move on from the Brett Baty experience.
Yeah, and listen, like he's got his chances. Like you can say he hasn't had enough at bats, but every time he's come up here, he's been like a 215 hitter who makes an error every couple of nights. And
yeah,
you can't tell me he plays this position. Like you could play as many positions in the field as you want. Doesn't mean you're going to do it well. And I think Acuna, while he hasn't played third until now, he just feels like athletic enough and good enough at other positions at second and short that he would just be fine at third. Where Baty, I think he's got to pick it up. He's got to learn it. He's got to get reps in. It's baby Baty. Like they've essentially baby Baty in many ways. And look, congrats to him on the car. I thought that was an awesome moment. It was good by the Mets. It was great for Juan Soto. I'm still questioning a Chevy Tahoe being a man's dream car, but that's another story for another week. Yankee fans were like, "Why did you get him a Chevy Tahoe?" That's what he wanted. Like
whose dream car is that? That was my exact reaction. Whose dream car is a Chevy Tahoe? I don't care if it is $92,000, and I will be expecting to see it tooling around Syracuse in July.
Yeah, it's almost like when you have the money, but you get McDonald's like every night, but you're like, that 20-piece nugget just hits home. You could add tuna tartare and steak, but you went with the McDonald's nuggets, the old reliable. So you went with the old reliable Chevy. That was probably a terrible analogy, but I did my best on that one.
It was a good analogy. Juan Soto has the money to buy anything he wants. Brett Baty, that's your dream car? Come on now. It's the most Brett Baty thing I've ever heard, honestly.
I'm going to ask Juan Soto if he ever goes to McDonald's. And if he says yes, I'll feel a lot better about myself. So I just don't think there's a spot. And if there's an injury, fine. But I agree. Play well now. See what you could get for him. Walk him to the airport. Walk him to that Syracuse airport. Do they have they have an airport up there, I assume?
Yeah, it's quite nice, actually. Syracuse airport's is light. Never any lines, Nobody lives here.
That's clutch. Yeah, the no lines is clutch because I still haven't signed up for TSA pre-check. I don't travel enough to do that. But that'll be on the airport edition of Mets Daily tomorrow. But yeah, I just have seen enough of fans goo-goo-gagaing over February and March and AAA stats for Brett Baty. And, it'll be interesting to see if Brett Beatty goes to the Miami Marlins and, how they stack up in a division that is stacked. They're at the bottom of the division, and so are the Nationals. But the other three are going to be in the race here. So, Ashley, I wanted to get in with you before we wrap up here on Mets Daily. This division, because it is going to be a dogfight. The Braves projected for about a win more than the Mets to win the division. My gut tells me the Mets get one of the wild card spots and lose out to the Braves, assuming a rotation that we talked about before the show is healthy, assuming Spencer Strider comes back and stays healthy, because he has not stayed healthy throughout his career. That is a rotation that has question marks. It's an offense that is stacked in Atlanta. The Phillies, to me, I think regressed. I know they added Jesus Luzardo, but it's a bullpen that lost, their best reliever in Estevez. There's question marks in that bullpen. I think there's question marks in that rotation as well. So, to me, I think this is a 3-team race with the Braves winning the division and the Mets getting a wild card, and the Phillies maybe also getting a wild card.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Mets scream wild card to me this year, especially with some of those rotation question marks. Obviously they can shore that up at the deadline if they want to, but the Mets feel like a wild card again. I don't think that's the worst thing. Listen, would I like to win the division just as much as anybody else? Yes, but you saw what happened last year. You got to just get in wild card, whatever it is, just get into the playoffs. I think the Braves, like you mentioned, have the best shot to win the division, right? You got Strider coming back. You got a healthy Acuna coming back, and they're going to be hungry. That season last year was just not the Atlanta Braves that we're used to seeing in the last 10, 15 years. The Phillies, to me, I mean, listen, you got Wheeler, you got Harper, you got Schwarber, you got a surrounding cast of characters, but I think the Phillies top to bottom, talent-wise, are less exciting to me than the Mets this year. So I would pick the Mets above the Phillies, but I've seen a lot of projections that have put Braves, Phillies, Mets. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating, because I think the AL East as well, NL East and AL East, both are gonna be very fun, and I'm excited to see what ends up happening. What do people say in AAA, by the way, about Luis Acuna? Because the talk amongst Mets fans is, look at his AAA stats, he wasn't good enough. Why are you gonna lock him into his spot? But to me, he feels like a guy that once he comes up to the show, and as he showed in the small sample size, he shines in the big moment. And to me, I just thought maybe the dog days of summer in Syracuse, and like you said, there's not much to do. Maybe he got a little bored. I think he has the potential to maybe be a star one day.
Yeah, I think Acuna is one of those guys where his intangibles are kind of what sticks out to you more when you're actually watching him play in a game than kind of the stats that pop off the page, or don't in his case. I mean, I liked him defensively. I think he's very versatile. I think he can play some center field in AAA. He was playing shortstop. He was playing third sometimes.
And it's
He's
interesting because
fast.
no one talks about his center field ability. They say he won't do it in the big leagues, but to me, I feel like if Siri ends up hitting 180 again, I look at as Acuna as a guy that can maybe play center.
He also played a lot of center in Syracuse, so I don't know what that has to do with anything. But I mean, he's fast, he's scrappy, he can steal bases, he can create runs like that. I don't know exactly what you compare him to in terms of a major league hitter. I don't know if his what he brings at the plate makes him stick, but I think he has a spot on a major league team, and I think he has upside. I think the Mets are going to want to see what he can do this summer, similar to how they gave Vientos a shot last summer, and you see what happened with that.
You can follow Ashley WENSKOSKI on X at Ashley Wensk TV. You could subscribe to her show with Samantha Croston, Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast, and follow their Twitter. I still have trouble saying their X.
What is X?
Yeah, it's strange. Follow their X. It's just an odd thing to say, because like, who are you following? Like Jake, John, Jimmy? Like who's the X that you're following there? You follow them on Twitter, we'll say, at YMetsPod. And thank you so much for coming on. We'll do it again at some point this season. If you're watching, smash that thumbs up. Let us know how. Oh, there's the fireworks. I've been waiting for the fireworks to come up behind me when I do the thumbs up. Comment below. What do you think of Ashley's appearance here on Mets Daily? Let us know. Be nice. Be friendly. You did a good job, Ashley. Thanks so much for
having
coming
me. Appreciate it.
We finally made it happen, and this is Mets Daily, and we'll be back tomorrow on a happy Friday. We're 1 month away from baseball games that count, games where Brett Beatty probably won't get a hit in. Sorry, Brett Beatty. We're really stampeding on him. We'll see you tomorrow on Mets Daily. Thanks for watching.